I just did not want to make waves in a pool that I felt like I shouldn't be in anyway. Hi everyone, I've missed you all so much. So as you can tell from the title of this PhD update, I will be having a story time, an update of what's been going on, where I've been, and what's been happening behind the scenes. So let's get into it. I came to this program and I came to this journey and I wanted to be a psychologist at the doctoral level, and I knew that I had a lot of potential. And you know, when you go through interviews and you go through the application cycle, you hear a lot of no's. Well, for me, you hear a lot of no's. And when you hear some yeses, you're like, finally, I'm seen. Finally, somebody gets me. These people want me. They want to pay for me to come here. Like it was like dreams coming true. And I felt like I had the right know-how to do what I needed to do. I just needed someone to help guide me with a close eye for certain things. And I felt like I was not getting that. And I didn't know how to advocate for myself. And I knew this for months, but I didn't know how to advocate for myself. I just did not want to make waves in a pool that I felt like I shouldn't be in anyway. It was so isolating to just sit at my computer and do a lot of work that was not at all really connected to the passions and why I was here. I was so disconnected. I felt like I was a machine. I felt like I was not seen. And I just felt very, very unhappy. I felt very unhappy with my experience thus far. And I also didn't want other people to think that I was ungrateful. I knew that there was something wrong. I couldn't articulate it really. And I really didn't know anybody who was kind of going through this. And it was just, I felt alone. By February, those feelings had rose to a degree where I had my first ever panic attack where I was just overwhelmed. I had so many overwhelming thoughts about my lab. Gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta do this, gotta keep going, gotta, you know, it was just like this. My coursework, I was in class, but I was not paying attention because I had all of this stuff to do for my lab that had nothing to do with my milestones, that had nothing to do with my passions. And I felt totally unseen. I was just going through the motions. I was so mentally exhausted. I was being challenged on every end. I was unhappy being here. It just all came to, you know, it just all came together, and I was at zero. I was scared. I was crying. I had reached zero, and I just cried out to God, and I was like, why is this happening to me? What is going on? What is going on? You know, why is this happening to me? I felt so stretched thin, like thin as a piece of thread. I was tired. I was exhausted. And you know what? All I could do in that moment and for a long time was blame myself. How could you let yourself get like this? How could you let yourself get like this? I was in a space, a headspace that I just needed a break. I thought that I was going to have to just randomly email my program director and say, I need to take a leave of absence and just go. I was at that point that I was like, you cannot do this anymore. You look at you. Look, literally, you are exhausted. You are experiencing something very traumatic that you've never experienced before. I'm literally, you know, calling out to God. I'm praying. I'm like, what's going on? And it was a very scary experience for me. And that was the moment, that was my wake-up call, that this can't happen again. that I need to stop trying to keep my head down and advocate for myself. That I need to stop trying to feel like I owe somebody something, or that I'm just here out of luck. Like it wasn't, that God hasn't favored me along my journey to give me the know-how to do stuff. Like at that point, I knew that I needed to advocate for myself in a way that I had never done so before. And that was scary. I think a lot of people don't understand what it feels like to not be seen. Like to somebody to see you. Like I see you in the context of I see what you're going through, but I see your potential. I see what you could be. I see what you bring to the table. I see how I can add to you. I see where you want to go. I can point you in the right direction. I can give you what you need to know, and let's do this. I needed somebody to see me. I needed somebody to understand where I was coming from, to understand how they could help me, the resources. I needed an advocate. I needed a mentor. I needed help. And I had to step out on faith in a way that I had never done before. Hence my shirt, walk by faith and not in fear. Because if it were for fear, I probably would have left, took that leave of absence, and I don't know when I would have been back. And just, being tired at the end of the day and not feeding my spiritual relationship, I needed to get back on track with that. I remembered that my mom had called me and she was like, you gotta get mad and you gotta say, you know what, enough is enough. And in that moment, in my head, I was like, how can I get mad? Like I did this to myself, or who am I to get mad at? Eventually, after continued prayer and hearing those words, I felt the courage to make a change. Like the wake up call happened. Like, yes, I have to get out of this. I have to do whatever, but I didn't know how. I was scared. I didn't really understand. I didn't know who to tell, especially academic wise. I didn't know who to tell. So it was kind of like, what are you gonna do? And one email went on to another, and I got in contact with somebody who could really make a change in what I was going through, who could really understand what I was going through. And this person works with thousands of students. So I'm looking like, this person couldn't know me out of everybody else. They wouldn't have the time to, meet with me. I sent an email. This person said, we're meeting on Zoom. When can we meet? And at that point I was like, oh, they want to meet with me. This person has a huge schedule, very busy. And I was just kind of like, whoa, okay. And then I met with another person and they were like, go for it. This is possible. And I was like, whoa, okay. I was able to officially move over to a new mentorship with someone who has literally seen me the way I always wanted to be seen. And it's really crazy how God works, because I never even thought about this person being my mentor. I never even thought about this person being my advisor. And when I met with them for the first time, and I was just, I didn't know how to ask them, could you be my advisor? I didn't know how to do that. And this person looked at me through the screen and told me that this can be your home if you want it to be, and was just going off on all of the things that, how they see me, what I could be doing, listening to my career goals, and okay, we could do this, 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 all of these type of things that I always wanted, what I thought that I was coming here for. And it literally brought tears to my eyes, that I was just like, wow. I called my dad and I was talking to him and I was like, Dad, it's been a year. What if this delays me in some type of way? I'm starting over kind of with a new advisor. What if this delays me? What if this gets me off track? All of these different things. He said, Erica, do you know how in your GPS, when you make a wrong turn when you're supposed to go left, you make a right turn when you're supposed to go left, or you go straight when you're supposed to make a left, or something like that? I said yes. And then he says, well, that's how God works, is that when you do that, he just recalculates and you still get to where you need to go. And I was sitting down and I was reading this like research article that didn't make any sense to me, like none. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so tired of being stressed. Like, what am I gonna do with this? Like, and my fiance Corey, he turned to me. This was random. He turned to me. This was random, and he was like, "Your second win is coming." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Wow, my second win is coming." And I was like, that's a message from God. Obviously, that was random, And I was like, "Okay, what does that mean? My second win was coming?" Because at this point, it really, while this person said like, "Yes, you could come to, my lab," we were still like in communications about how is this gonna work, all this type of stuff. And then I met with the person who kind of goes over my funding. And this is the next day after Corey says that. And then they say, "It's gonna be okay. Your second breath is coming." And I was just like a deer in headlights. And I just cried then too. I'm thankful that I can sit here and tell you this story and that I have a happy ending at the end. Being brave in graduate school this story was life-changing, because I never thought that I would have to advocate for myself in this way, because I didn't know how this would go. Nobody talks about how to change advisors. That's not in the handbook. That's not, something that you can just easily find information on. And when you do, sometimes there are a lot of sad stories that's associated with that. So it was really hard for me. And I felt like, I had to be brave. I was so used to keep your head down, do not make waves, and just get through this. And I had to get out of that, because advocacy is what I do. And if I can't advocate for myself, how am I supposed to advocate for a child? How am I supposed to advocate for an adolescent? How am I supposed to advocate for somebody else who's trying to navigate life but don't have the wording and the know-how to do so? How can I do that if I can't even advocate for myself? And I feel like this experience helps me further to be able to be an advocate, to tell people you can do it. It looks really dim, it looks really hard, and it is hard, and it's a continued process, and it won't be restored overnight, but you can do it. It goes back to my tweet or the tweet that I saw, that you can be a good seed but be in the wrong soil. Some types of soils are not for this seed here, and it's just not. And it's okay. And it's okay to say that. And it's okay to say that I know what works for me and what does not work for me. I know what's good and I know what's not. I know the boundaries that I need to have. And so I'm learning to build boundaries, literally brick by brick by brick. I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful.